the Cubs are. No one saw this coming.
No.
They have had an April to remember. Everything is going right. It just seems like everything Jed Hoyer had hoped for, he's got the Midas touch now.
Well, there is a belief in that clubhouse that they are always in it. Last night was a prime example. You go down 5-0 in the first inning with Caleb Killian on the mound getting rocked, and they end up losing 7-6. Right? They're in it. They have the go ahead run was at the plate. They have a belief that they can always be in these games. And Patrick Wisdom, I mean, he's on pace for what, like 160 homers. Like, it's insane, and that's awesome to see. And that's, you put that with these winners that they brought in, and it's just a different vibe. There is belief. There's a difference between hope and belief, and they believe.
Which is really unusual, though, to have so many hits with the number of
Yes.
moves that they make.
Well, their offense right now looks like juggernaut-like. I mean, they're up in the top 5 in all the offensive categories that you want to be near the top of the league in. And when you look at the Cubs, and see, this is my problem, is I'm watching 2 baseball teams, and so, like, you appreciate them even more because
Yes.
if you have to watch the White Sox and then you watch the Cubs, and you're like, okay, this is what it's supposed to be. And the fact that they were able to go out and get what they got in free agency, and it's not just the guys like Dansby Swanson, the plug up the middle, but the reclamation project, a guy who hit 203 over the last 3 years, and Cody Bellinger, to see what he's doing this year,
it's awesome.
I mean, that in and of itself, it signals the successful front office approach for one team versus another. I don't like pitting them against each other, but it's hard for me not to contrast and compare.
The veteran leadership, it seems like the hitting is there, and the hitting should last. The pitching is what people are saying, will it last?
Right.
Or will everyone catch up?
I mean, you found something, you think, in Justin Steele,
Right.
right?
Right.
You know, the way Drew Smiley's pitched the last few appearances, too. You got something there. I mean, that's what's been fun to me is the starting pitching. Is it like, and it's the right question though, Peggy. It's like, can this last? But I like they have this winning culture already, even though they might not have the guys here yet who are going to be part of this team when they go back to the playoffs. And you talk about, again, Marcia, you're right, because you don't want to compare it all the time, but if you're a White Sox fan, you're not watching AAA or AA. You don't have guys like that. If you're a Cubs fan right now, you have some guys you can be really excited about and still be excited about the team that's playing at Wrigley Field because they're winning games, they're competitive, and you got guys in Iowa that are doing some really fun things too.
And Dan, you were just talking about that before we hit the air, that they're knocking on the door. They're like waiting. They're waiting to get called up, and they're doing great.
They're doing great. I was actually considering a trip to Iowa to watch the I-Cubs. That's how excited I am for the way that they've been playing in their offense. What gets me, though, about the Cubs offense is they're hitting that way in April when our weather is bonkers, right?
Not
And, like,
conducive.
nothing is consistent. Those have been the topics of years past, and it's not the case in 2023. That's impressive stuff.
Well, can they keep this up? By the end of the season, who are we going to be talking about?
I like the idea that Kyle Hendricks has not thrown a pitch yet.
Yes.
And that's another guy who knows how to win, knows what it takes. And you have to like the pitching staff overall. And there's this thing called the trade deadline where you can go do
Our
some
thanks
things.
to Marshall
That's
Harris
true.
of
That's
CBS
true.
2, Deion Miller from ABC 7, The Athletics' Kevin Fishbane. I'm Peggy Kaczynski from ESPN 1000. Until next time, thank you for joining us on The Reporters, brought to you by Miller Lite.